As a Muslim, you do what's called the Muslim drill, as our friend Wajad Ali once coined it 10 years ago in the New York Times, where you think, please, please, please don't let the shooter be a Muslim, because we know what will happen then. We know that the Islamophobes will weaponize this incident to go after ordinary Muslims who had nothing to do with this. We know it will add to already increasing levels of Islamophobia.
I don't think there's such a thing as ordinary Muslims.
Had nothing to do with this. That is in debate. Hassan wants you to believe Muslims are the real victims because cold-blooded murderers breed Islamophobia. Phobia is an irrational fear. The fear of Islam and of jihad is not irrational. It's certainly not anymore. Sadly, Hassan is one of the more reasonable voices on his side of the argument. His argument being afraid of Islamic terrorism only helps the terrorists. There's a reckoning now on whether radical Islam is the exception or the rule.
There is no such thing as radical Islam.
For the last
Islam is radical.
Years has been forbidden. Not anymore. Now we must ask if Islam is consistent with Western values.
It's not.
Look at these videos from Amsterdam to Milan to Birmingham, England. All of these marchers, predominantly men, are celebrating the attacks in Sydney. So are these what Hassan would have called the ordinary Muslims? The ones out celebrating the attacks in Sydney and calling for intifada in the wake of Sunday's massacre? Don't take my word for all of this. The people who have been warning the most fervently about Islamic terror and jihad becoming the norm in the West is people who know it the best.
Listen to this, guys.
The leaders
really
in the United Arab Emirates, for example. Here is their foreign minister warning the West 8 years ago.
Yep, right here.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Yep. I'm done. That's
Should
it.
have listened then.
He said it. Not much to say there. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I have a lot to say. I wouldn't be called Married to Talks if I didn't have anything to say. All right. So yes, there is no such thing as radical Muslims. To me, the Islam religion is radical at its core. The Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile because he decided to rape a 9-year-old girl. Well, he married a 6-year-old and then raped her at 9 years old. So that is not a prophet, that is a rapist. And I'm not going to say the word again because I know that YouTube doesn't like the R word. I don't believe that religion is peaceful, because why do you have to say the peaceful Muslims? Why does the word peaceful have to be in front of Muslim? If they were truly peaceful, then would just say Muslims, not peaceful Muslims or the peaceful religion of Islam. The fact that you have to emphasize that it's peaceful is what makes it not peaceful. When you think of Christians and Catholics, you don't say, oh, the peaceful Catholics or the peaceful Christians. You just call them Christians and Catholics. Same thing with Hindus. So this quote-unquote religion, to me, it's not a religion. It is a cult. It is a cult that has conquered the Middle East. Egypt used to be Christian, and it is now 90% Islam. Same thing with Lebanon. It used to be Christian, and now it's Islam. This religion is not a religion. To me, it is a mindset that acts like a parasite. It needs a host, and the minute it latches on to a land, it conquers it. That's why they pray on the streets to let you know it is their land now, not yours anymore. They want to make sure you are aware of that. There is no assimilation with these people. And yes, I sound probably bigoted by saying these people. I don't care how I may sound. That is the problem. We care too much about how we sound. How about you just say what you think out loud? And people will agree with you because they think the same. They feel the same. They resonate with the message. If you're not willing to actually assimilate into society, and that means remove your burqa, that means remove the head stuff, that means remove all of that. Because guess what? In America, we don't wear that. We wear caps. We wear cowboy hats. We wear beanies. That's part of the American culture. We don't wear burqas. We don't cover our faces. We don't do any of that stuff. I'm not saying look like a hoe, but I am saying look like a normal human being. That's what I am saying. Women are treated like slaves in that quote unquote religion, which is again a cult. They're not free. I remember when I was a kid, my first best friend was in 5th grade. Her name is Ola. And Ola is Lebanese. Ola at that time did not have the whole thing. And I went to her house and I got to see how they lived. And man, did they live differently than we do. There is no assimilation. They don't live like us. Not even in their home do they live like us. It's like because as a Cuban, when you move here, you move certain things with you. You know, you move your food, you move your music, you know, but you don't really move your mindset, or you do your best not to. A lot of Cubans nowadays do, but I'm talking about the old school Cubans didn't move the mindset. They left that behind. That's why they left. They don't want that mindset. They don't want that communist, socialist mindset. They want the American mindset. They want to be able to prosper and know what it is to be a free man in a free country. In order for you to feel that, you need to leave the mindset behind. The mindset you were indoctrinated with in the country you were born. And these people, when they flee their country to come here, that mindset stays intact. It does not go anywhere. In fact, Ola, when I met her when I was like in 5th grade. How old were we in 5th grade? Like 10 years old. When she moved to Michigan, because it's a predominantly Islam, Muslim, whatever community over there, she ended up wearing the headdress thing. No assimilation. I've met people who come from Islam countries who know that in this country you don't have to wear that. You don't. You can believe in your God that I don't agree with, but you can believe in your God and not have to wear all of that. But to them, you got to wear the whole thing to believe in the God. And that, to me, that's not an actual religion. It is a mindset that conquers whatever it touches. That's not a religion. A religion doesn't conquer. A religion tries to persuade. There's no force. This quote-unquote religion forces you. That's why if you are a Muslim converting to Christian to a Muslim, you deserve to die. That's not a religion. That's a cult. That's not me being bigoted. You can look it up. They believe in death to anybody who leaves their religion to go to Christianity. That is what they believe. They also believe a child who gets their period is a woman. That means if a 9-year-old gets their period, they should be able to have sex with her. That is what they believe. So I'm sorry. That is not a part of our culture. And it's time we have a conversation about what is the American culture and what isn't. Because those of us who believe in the American culture, we need to speak up more. And those who don't agree with the American culture need to leave. And they can leave willingly or they can leave by force, but they need to leave. That's all I got to say about that.